Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick and I'm talking with Kevin Vachon, who is the Chief Operating Officer of the MEF. Kevin, good to see you and thanks for talking to us. You've been with the MEF for a decade and more. You've seen a lot of changes in that time. You've seen a lot of evolution in the programs that the MEF has been involved in, specifically, of course, the specifications and standards for carrier Ethernet. What is happening now? Those standards are pretty set, you know where you are with them, the world knows where they are with them. What's the nature of the work in the MEF now? How is it changing?
Well, there are a few key things that are happening right now. Firstly, with respect to carrier Ethernet itself, CE 2.0, which we introduced a few years ago, has been hugely successful. Those specifications have been adopted by operators around the world, and we continue to see substantial growth in that market, in particular in emerging markets where some of the latecomers are building out their offerings against that. The second thing is, though, the big demand in the industry is for an ability to automate the delivery of those services, or in the context of today's language, to orchestrate. So MEF has introduced a program called Lifecycle Services Orchestration, or LSO, which provides a comprehensive end-to-end orchestration framework for connectivity services. And we are actually taking that beyond the existing CE 2.0 Layer 2 services. It's going to Layer 3 and beyond.
MEF and carrier Ethernet is one thing. Orchestration is a completely different discipline. How is the organization adjusting to it, and what does the industry think of it?
Firstly, you have to maybe ask yourself, why are we doing this, right? Sure. There's a lot of different orchestration initiatives in the industry today, but there was lacking an organization to step up and really look at these connectivity services holistically end to end and look at orchestration from that perspective. Given that we were the guys that built those service specifications, built the framework in the first place, it made sense for us to kind of step up and take that leadership role. So there certainly, is a transition time. We're in a transition period, if you say, where we're having to educate that we are, the leaders in this area. So that was sort of, I guess, step one. Step two was to start bringing out specifications around orchestration. Recently, we released something called MEF 55, which is the LSO reference architecture. And then more recently, we introduced open initiatives, which is really our gateway, if you will, to the open source projects. One is called Open LSO, which is the open source instances of LSO, and the other one is called OpenCS, which is Open Connectivity Services, initially focused around carrier Ethernet 2.0 services. So if you look at those initiatives, in order to deliver those, the organization has to change. We recently brought in a CTO to guide the kind of technical strategy for the organization, to manage our relationships with the other SDOs like TM Forum here, like the open source projects, and we've reorganized all of our specifications area to put more emphasis on the orchestration specifications. What we're trying to do is to find the balance between being an organization that continues to build very important, well-respected specifications and marry that with the agility of the open source and the practicality of the implementation of open source. So it's that open source, DevOps, agile type approach being married effectively with a specifications process, which has to become more agile and more nimble in the first place.
Now, what is the reaction then, Kevin, of the operator community? You have an operator community, obviously, from previous work in the MEF and what the organisation has been doing. What do they make of the change of direction? Are they happy about it? Do they understand why you're doing it?
Yeah, MEF is, we're fortunate, of the 200 plus member companies we have, over 130 are operators. So we had a community to take the strategy, test the waters, if you will, with this strategy, and to have them drive this strategy, in fact, before we really started doing a lot of work. And the acceptance, I would say, has certainly exceeded expectations. And in particular, those operators that had early offerings, internally built orchestration capabilities to deliver dynamic services, they were the ones that said, look, we're doing some of this, and it makes a lot of sense for someone to step up and kind of standardize this and take it out across the industry. So we had a number of key operators come to the table and contribute resources to help us get this work started. And I think it's encouraging because we're seeing very, very strong acceptance in all tiers of operators and in all geographies of the world.
operators are going through a pretty torrid time overall because transformation is happening whether they like it or not. Some do like it, some don't like it, and most of them now have come to accept it's happening. We've got cloudification, NFV, SDN, etc., all the 5G stuff, IoT, anything, you know, just throw an acronym at it, it's there. And at the same time, services continue to grow all the time. Where does the MEF play into that?
So the MEF is providing a practical roadmap for the evolution of connectivity service from being static in nature, which is what we see today, to those that are being more dynamic in nature, which is what MEF calls a third network service. And we're doing that in a couple of different ways. One is the orchestration capability that we're bringing to market enables operators to orchestrate services across mixed environments, those based around built with SDN, NFV, as well as traditional technologies, because that's not those new technologies are not going to be introduced overnight. So you have to be able to provide these new services over mixed technologies. At the same time, a big pain point in the industry is for an operator to be able to orchestrate services end-to-end across multi-provider networks. And so all of the MEF work, even the services work that we've done in the past, the definitions work, takes into account that there are multiple operators involved in delivering services to a customer. So the LSO function very much provides for end-to-end service orchestration.
Okay, interesting, Kevin, to see an organisation like MEF and other industry bodies which are evolving along with the telcos and the operators as things change. Interesting stuff. Thank you very much indeed.
Great, thank you.